what will you do with that freedom then? All of this space that you've cleared up for yourself to have room for possibilities and choices, what will you do with it then? Freedom is only useful if you know how to use it. I hear everybody these days talking about financial freedom, sexual liberties, freedom to travel wherever I want, do whatever I want in any moment. And I think that we got to take another look at what freedom actually means. Yes, part of becoming an adult is becoming a sovereign human being. My belief, taking personal account and personal responsibility for how I provide for myself, how I provide for others, how I make an impact on the planet, my impact on the planet and the way that I'm leading my life. All of that is part of being an adult. It's part of what freedom represents. Freedom to choose how I express myself, how I provide for myself, how I succeed in doing the things I set out to do. But freedom means nothing if you don't know how to wield it. So what does that mean? I see a lot of people who fight and tooth and nail to achieve financial freedom. I see a lot of people who are making investments, who are taking on 2 jobs, who are saving up money so that they can eventually retire from the grind. To do what? I see so many people who are fighting and battling to get to a position and a place in life without actually knowing what they will do once they've arrived there. I see a lot of people who want to have freedom, who talk about more freedom for ourselves, but don't know how to articulate or express it. And what I'm here to talk about is that free will is a wonderful thing to have. It's a beautiful thing to protect our civil liberties, our ability to express ourselves with our voice, with our bodies, sexually, the way we want to generate a living and an income for ourselves. But it has to be based in more substance than just surface level ideas. The idea of getting to a place where I have choice is not the idea of freedom that I think most people actually want. You see, I want the same freedoms that you do. I want to have all of those freedoms that I just spoke about for myself, for my children, for my community. But what I want to do with them is to further advance and amplify the impact I want to have in the world. With Rising Man on the surface, my mission is to initiate an entire generation of men. That's the mission that myself and men from all over the world have taken on. You listening to this podcast right now are a part of that community. Beyond that mission is my desire to set up my children to have a better life and a better relationship with the planet and with each other and themselves than I did, than we did. And so every type of freedom that I want to create for myself is in service to that mission. And I think that everybody needs to have a system of personal values, a code of values that you're willing to fight for. That once you achieve those freedoms that I'm talking about here, you'll employ that freedom into amplifying these values, in letting that transform into the impact you have on this planet, the impact you have on your family, the impact you have on your community, the impact you have on your audience if you're an influencer, on your patients if you're a physician, whoever it might be, your students if you're a teacher. But so many of us, we're fighting to get to a place without knowing what we'll do with it once we get there. So ask yourself this question. Once you achieve these freedoms, once money isn't an issue for you, once where you live isn't an issue, paying rent, how you're going to raise your kids, sending them to school, all the questions that each of us deal with on a day-to-day basis. Once those questions are answered, what will you do with that freedom then? All of this space that you've cleared up for yourself to have room for possibilities and choices, what will you do with it then? What are your values? What's the legacy of who you were in your life that you want to leave behind? You see, if you haven't asked yourself these questions, but you're already on the hamster wheel trying to get to the finish line of freedom, then to me, you got to take a pause. Just hit the pause button on that treadmill for a second. Step off, because it's going to be there waiting for you. It's not going to go anywhere. Just take a pause. Take a break for a minute. Just step off of the treadmill and ask yourself these questions. What do you care about enough to fight for? Literally fight for. Put your life on the line for. Who is it that you want to be? You want to be that person so badly. You want to represent this value, this virtue so much that you'll put yourself physically, mentally, emotionally on the line for it. I think there's a lot of us that aren't even willing to do that. It all sounds good when we put it down on paper. Any one of us could sit down, take out a pen and paper, and write down 7 core values that we found in the dictionary that sound real good. But are you really willing to fight for them? And by fight for them, are you willing to stand in the face of adversity when someone says that's bullshit? Are you willing to go up against the resistance that you receive from your wife, from your children, from your parents, your siblings, your employers, when they try to push back on your integrity? Are you willing to take a stand and put your life on the line when it matters to defend someone else's dignity? Will you stand on the front lines to protect people when it really matters? Not just with a social media post, but when lives are on the line. You see, I'm not much of a historian, but I know that the freedoms that we talk about have become diluted over time. The freedoms that people fought for, and some people still fight for every single day with their lives, with their bodies, with their blood, sweat, and tears. I think we've all taken them for granted. And we feel entitled to freedom now because it's something that people centuries ago were fighting for on this soil. And people currently are fighting for the freedoms that were taken away from them by those people taking their freedoms. It's a whole nother story, but reminding ourselves that freedom is something that we're all fighting for in our own way right now, and everybody's battle for that is different. But in order to arrive there and to be able to actually do something with it, to leverage your freedom and independence into something that's meaningful and impactful, that represents the type of human being that you wanted to be, that you want to be, then you gotta know what you're willing to stand for, what you're willing to fight for. Otherwise, at the end of the day, you'll have all the money in the bank accounts, you'll have possibilities galore, you'll be able to go and travel and do anything that you want to do in the drop of a dime. And then what? Do you want to wait till then to figure out how you're going to leverage your liberties? Or do you want to start thinking about it right now? So that's my challenge to you. Imagine yourself having this freedom, having the ability and the possibilities at your disposal to do with it what you please. What will you do with it? What will you fight for? What will you put all of that freedom and possibility and choice behind so that it can translate into something called commitment? And then that becomes just the way that you are, a way of being. What are those values? I challenge you to sit down right now, shut off this video, share it first, then shut off the video and get clear on what are those values? What are those things that you want to pump your freedom into? Not just for your benefit, but for the benefit of others. Get clear on what those are. Don't wait until you get to the finish line to start thinking about this. And share up this message with somebody else who needs to hear it. Make sure you spread the word, because I don't want people arriving at a place in time where they've gotten it. They checked off the box. They achieved freedom, but now they don't know what to do with it. What will free people do? What will a free man do once he's realized his freedom once and for all? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like it up. Make sure you check it out each and every week, because we got Monday morning meditations dropping each and every Monday for you. Stay tuned, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next video.